This is the Ted Wallachin Podcast. Brought to you by Tom's Place. For the finest in men's clothing at unbeatable prices, it's Tom's Place at 190 Baldwin in the heart of Kensington Market. Tom's Place will suit you. And Halenda's, the meat people. Enjoy their award-winning products at selected Metro, Sobeys, Fortinos, and Foodland locations. Halenda's, the way sausage should taste. And now, here's Ted.
My special guests this week are husband and wife, business partners, and co-stars of the hit TV show Big Timber. It's the story of the family-run logging and sawmill business, Wenstob Timber Resources, owned by Kevin Wenstob and Sarah Fleming. Season 3 of Big Timber airs Thursdays on History. Welcome to the podcast. Nice to meet both of you. Thank you very much for taking the time. I appreciate this.
Well, thanks for having us.
You have two sons that work with you as well, right? Jack and Eric?
We do. They're the only two we have.
Yeah. We have another character,
for...
Coleman, who's one of our mainstays in the operation as well. So don't want to leave him out.
Mm-hmm. No, of course not. Let's go back and talk to me about when Wenstob Timber Resources first began and how it began.
Well, I was doing logging just with an excavator and a truck, and we the company itself started back in '95, and so I was logging and just doing logging things, which is local around the area here on the South Vancouver Island. And
right.
I bought a sawmill, which was in Brentwood Bay for building our house with. And that was the mill, which parts of that are still incorporated into the mill we have here in Souk. So
right, because I was wondering, how common is it for a logger to have a sawmill as well?
It's not that common.
Those are two really. No, it's not that common.
No.
Because it's, I was quite surprised actually, because I thought that they would have been two totally separate entities, but I guess it makes sense to have the two of them combined.
It really makes sense because at the time we were building our home, and honestly, we didn't want to buy lumber.
Well, as a kid,
okay.
I lived up on the West Coast when I was younger, and we had a small sawmill back in those days, and we had to manufacture all our own lumber to build stuff with. So we'd either beachcomb or log the trees to get the logs, and then cut them on the sawmill. And so when I started logging around this area, which is sort of urban zone, the sawmill was a necessity for the house I wanted to build. So I ended up buying this sawmill, which was an old decrepit thing that some other guys had, and sort of refurbished that and continued logging. We kept logging, and we built our house with that. But then logging industry the log values go up and down all the time, so it's a really unstable market, whereas the lumber is a fairly stable market. So I wanted to shift out of just logs and get into lumber, where I had way more stability, and also I could make a better product from the logs, and it was just really stable. So that's the way to go, and that's why we evolved to this.
Kevin, you refer to the sawmill as like a living animal. Explain that.
Well, it needs energy to run, so electricity.
Yeah.
You can have diesel ones or gas ones. Ours are all electric because it's way more efficient to operate. There's no residual, you don't need fuel, all those things. So it's a lot cheaper. It's about a tenth the cost of running an engine-powered one, fuel-powered one. And also it's way less maintenance. But we're always improving it because we have to keep up with new types of wood or more volumes and be able to process our waste products. So we have a chipper, we've got a debarker, which is coming online, and we're also building a bigger, newer sawmill, which will be able to process a lot more wood more efficiently and have less waste. So it's about utilizing all the products that we get our hands on and getting the most out of it. And time is also a very important factor, because if we don't utilize the time of our workers, we're losing money, and it takes so much longer to get a job done. So we got to have everything working to its best capabilities so that we can, make profit.
There's kind of two kinds of logging that you do. You go down and you chop the trees and then bring the wood back,
Yep.
and then you also go almost kind of scavenger hunting along the beach, searching for wood that's drifted away, which is in a benefit to the boaters to begin with, but it's also to wood that can be used, right?
Well, the neat thing about beachcombing is that we can look for a specific type of wood, like a species, like cedar is what we've been beachcombing for primarily right now. But fir logs are there, but we go along the beach. Oh, there's a good log. Here's a great log. Here's a great log, and so we can focus on that wood itself and pass over all the other wood, just because we're looking for the best recovery of our time. But now that we're upgrading our mill, pretty well all the logs we come across on the beach are going to be stuff that's going to be of interest. So we can just start picking up all
Hmm.
the loose wood and really increase our volume that we're going to take from the beach, tenfold versus what we're just going for cherry picking right now.
Right. Now, is cedar the most popular wood?
Cedar is one of the highest value ones. Yeah, you can find some other crazy wood. Sometimes you get like even a mahogany log drift in on the beach from South
Hmm.
America or something like that. So there's weird things that do show up occasionally, but most of the time it's just all the native woods like the cedar, fir, hemlock, balsam, yellow cedar. Those are the ones that are primarily you'll find on the beach, and you get some alder logs. Those kinds of things. So those are the most of the species that are there. Occasionally a maple tree.
Right. Kevin Wenstob and Sarah Fleming are with me. They are the proprietors of Wenstob Timber Resources and the hosts of Big Timber, which airs Thursdays on History. Has the price of lumber skyrocketed the way the price of food has in the last year or so?
Definitely, the price has gone up due to manufacturing issues. So we've sort of just gone along with that, and our prices, what we used to sell uh, clear lumber for, is now the price of knotty lumber. So it's interesting how that has changed, and really our bottom
Hmm.
line has done better because of it.
There are various industries that are having a difficult time hiring people, and if they do hire them, keeping them on. Is that a problem in your industry?
It is. Skilled labor is difficult to find. Usually, people coming into our jobs haven't even done that type of job before, but learn it on site. Kevin's a great
Hmm.
teacher, and so is Coleman. And Jack has also become a leader in his own right. So, we're
Right.
always hiring. And as you can see in season 2, Simon, we had a young boy that applied for a job, and he was 16 when he started. And, he's really grown and learned lots of skills as well.
Now you're a nurse, right?
I was a nurse for 20 years,
You were a
and no
nurse,
longer a
right?
practicing nurse. Yeah.
And your industry is one that's been pummeled by COVID.
Oh,
They're
100%.
they're losing staff.
I wouldn't want to be in that job today. I'm sure they're really struggling because of staff shortages.
Yeah. And how has COVID affected the logging industry, or has it? Other than the way it's affected everybody on a daily basis.
I don't think it affected us much. There was some, work safe rules and regulations that we followed, and but we're all working out in the outdoors, even here at the mill as well, and in small groups. So it
Hmm.
didn't affect us directly.
Speaking of working outdoors, the show takes place in Hook Bay, which is in Vancouver Island. I'm not that familiar with it, but it seems like the weather is pretty manageable there. But you do have your ups and downs as well.
Yeah, we get we get a storm front or whatever it may be, and sometimes the wind will blow. You get some pretty horrendous windstorms and rainstorms and snowstorms. And so when it gets super bad, you're just not doing it because you do have wet weather shutdowns, and if it's not safe, you're gonna not do the work. So, but there,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So you just work with the weather, but yeah, you work with the weather. We have to.
What are your biggest hurdles then? Are animals a concern?
They can be, they're more of, not really. They're like, you can be afraid of animals. We have a lot of bears out there. There's
Hmm.
elk and bears, but neither of them are really any animal you can be concerned about. They're more of something you kind of have your own fear. Oh, bears, but bears aren't there to bother you. At certain times, there's, you got to watch out for bear dens. And so there's on one of our timber sales, there's this bear den, and it had like a big yellow cedar tree, and it had just a hole in the bottom like the size of a plate, anyways, but it was an annual bear den, and the bears live in that tree every year. So we sectioned it out of our timber sale so that that area was left, and so you're watching out for the wildlife and respecting it so that it can
Yeah.
prosper and do its thing as well.
But you get some noob who comes from Eastern Ontario or Eastern Canada who comes and says, "Oh, look at the bear and the elk. Let's go pet them." Like they think
Not a good thing to do.
I wouldn't recommend that.
your pet dog. No, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Ted Wallachin returns in a moment.
Well, fall's coming, the kids are back in school, and many of us are easing back into the office at least some of the time. But it is time to get back to work. Time to ditch the sweatpants, t-shirts, and put on some real work clothes. Dress for success. And we've got you covered from business casual to sports jackets to suits. Virtually everything to look your professional best. The Tom's Place Back to Work sale features new fall fashion arrivals like 100% wool suits starting at just $199 each. Sports jackets at 50% off. A crazy selection of sports and dress shirts for $66 each. And lips and dress shirts regularly $145, now only $66. Everything is on sale. Tom's Place is open daily 11 to 6 weekdays, 10 to 5 Saturday, and 12 to 5 Sunday. Visit Tom's Place, 190 Baldwin in Kensington Market. Tom's Place will suit you. Have you been tasked with the role of a state executor or expected maybe in the future you will be? Well, if so, let me make your life a lot simpler by introducing you to my friend Debbie Stanley. Debbie is the founder of ETP Canada. They specialize in estate administration. Their goal simply is to help Canadian executors understand their role and how to deal with the loved one's estate. Let's face it, there's no school for this, but ETP Canada offers services such as executor support, estate accounting, and they have a new online course called Executor Ready. It's an engaging video designed to make estate administration easier and affordable. And those are two comforting thoughts during a stressful time. So call Debbie Stanley at 1-866 309-0387. That's 1-866-309-0387. Or you can get her at info@etpcanada.ca. That's info@etpcanada.ca.
Now back to Ted Wallachin.
The show is called Big Timber. It's season 3 now, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And when you first began the program, what was your objective and where are you now and how much has it changed on the way?
Well, we were just starting out. We didn't really know the direction we were going because everything we do changes almost daily. But every day
Yeah.
we have pretty well an adventure. And so, we have our daily challenges, which is, we need to get wood. We need to manufacture that wood. We got to keep our customers satisfied so they'll keep coming back. But then it's all the challenges we have with getting that wood, which is really what the story is because, and then this things that are associated with that could be bureaucratic, could be machinery, it could be workplace or the environment. All those things are, just straight up challenges that are really what the show is based on.
Now, you fall into that category known as reality television. And reality television, as we have learned over the years, is not so much, in many cases, based on reality. But there's not much that's going on that you're faking on your show like they are on some of these real estate shows without getting into naming anything.
Yeah, well, I can't talk
know
for
what I
other
mean.
shows, but everything that we do is what we have to do to get our job done. And
Right.
we're doing the filming for 3 to 5 months, maybe a year. And so filming stopped a couple months ago, but we've had several situations that go, I wonder where the camera is. This is a whole episode
Yeah.
right here in a few hours of just dramatic stuff going on, which is all safe, but it's just huge things happening. And you just need to, great to tell a story with it. It's entertainment. And you just tell the story later on. Oh, this happened. Oh, yeah, great. But if there's no TV screen and stuff, it's a pretty boring story. But when people see what actually happens, it's interesting.
I think from a perspective, we live it day in, day out. And so when you then portray it on the TV and then you see when we always have a viewing party on Thursday nights when it comes out. So we invite a couple of friends over. When you see their reaction and the fact that they didn't actually realize what we do for a living, it's really interesting to see that. and to see how they see us now through that TV.
Now, during the course of not only these programs, but during the course of your everyday life, how often do you have to put your nurse's cap on and deal with somebody who's cut a toe off with a power saw or something?
Not that often, knock on wood. Where is it? Right there.
Yeah,
But I think
you gotta look for wood in your
my
place.
Psych 101 is probably the best one that I
Yeah,
revert
okay.
back to. Dealing with interpersonal relationships and running a business with family is probably, like you were asking about, what are the toughest things and weather stuff, that kind of stuff. But working with family is one of the hurdles that you come across day in, day out, and just learning how to deal with each other. And every day is a new day in that sense. And Kevin and I have now been doing this job together for, I think it's coming on 18 years. And it strengthens and weakens the relationship. Hopefully strengthens more than it does weaken. But we've learned that we both have different needs in life.
Well, there's a bit of a conflict that's evident in episode 1 of season 3, where Kevin decides, well, it's time for us to expand, and we need to spend a lot of money in order to expand. And your words are something like, "I don't want to spend any more money."
I never want to spend money. That's my go-to thing. That's
Okay.
my MO. Is I like to have money in the bank. I like to see it there, but I do also realize the fact that it really does no good in the bank. So we really should
Yeah.
be spending it on, like Kevin always has great ideas. Not all of them work out, and that's part of life. But
hmm
yeah, you're better off just investing in yourself.
I mean, is there a concern that the price of wood, it could fluctuate to a point where it could drive you out of business? Like, is there any reason to believe that suddenly a cord of cedar is going to drop 25% in price?
Well, one of the reasons why we operate our business the way we do, which is go out and get the raw logs and bring them back and manufacture, is so that we're starting from the very beginning of the cycle of the industry,
Right.
and going right to the very end of it. So we're bringing in the raw material from wherever it comes from, be it the ocean as salvage or from the mountain where we log it, and then bring it to the mill and do all what's necessary to create the finished product to get the best value for it. So if the raw log prices go up, which we don't usually buy anyways, because we're getting them from the primary resource, which is doing that work and creating that value
hmm
and bringing it in, we've got a lot of cushion room there so that we have an ability to get the most value out of every step we make. And that gives us the opportunity to have residual, which is money, to do what we do and be able to make things better.
Right. How much has climate change affected your industry?
It's, you look at historical stuff, and I look at their growth rings on trees. There's a tree
Yeah.
that fell down a long time ago. You buck the trees off, and you, like stumps, you can look at a 4-foot diameter tree and see what has happened over a few centuries, and understand how growth or things have changed. So it's always fluctuating, and we see it right now with the heat that we had last summer, and we're having right now. We're in the middle of, it's the end of September, beginning of October, and we're still waiting for rain so we can get back on the hill and finish logging some of the areas we have. So, like, it's been dragging on as this extended summer, which is we're seeing it every day. So
Right.
it may be just a cycle of a 10 or 15 year thing, but it might be something that's here to stay. It's hard to tell, not being a scientist.
Kevin Wenstob and Sarah Fleming are my guests. They are the hosts of Big Timber. It's on Thursday evenings. You can see it on History. Do you get harassed at times by people who don't understand your industry and how it works, and you thinking that you're wiping out the forests and moving animals away from their natural habitat?
Not really.
I think
No.
the general public has actually learned a lot from the show, in the sense that you get a lot of feedback of, they didn't realize how much work it took to bring lumber down to them to sell. And I think that
Yeah.
most of the feedback has been a lot of positivity, and a lot of people wanting to buy in their backyard. And we're really loyal to our Vancouver Island market, in the sense of we could sell wood worldwide and forget the Vancouver Island market. But our goal is to make the trees that are harvested here on the island accessible to our local customer.
Right. Okay. When you sit back and you watch the news, and we've seen over the past number of years in Vancouver or in the Vancouver area, certainly in British Columbia and various parts of western United States, these devastating forest fires. What goes through your mind when you see that?
It's a lot of heat there.
Yeah.
Smoke
Yeah,
and heat,
yeah.
and then the smoke drifts over here. And yeah, we didn't, 20, 30 years ago, we didn't have those kind of forest fires we have now. Because when I was younger, there was never the smoke. It was probably about 10 years ago that it actually became noticeable in the summertime. And since then, then it would skip a year, and then you get 2 or 3 years in a row of constant smoke, and it didn't used to be like that. So it's definitely something that you're aware of, and you go, well, things are changing because of that. And why? Maybe it's just there's more people out there that these fires get started from, or they're lightning strikes. There's lots of different things, but it's a drier environment that is making this happen for sure.
Anything that we can expect out of in terms of the unexpected for season 3 of Big Timber?
I think there's a big surprise,
I don't know if we're allowed to talk about that.
There's a big surprise.
Without giving anything away. I don't want you to give away, a punchline or
I think there's a big surprise
spoiler.
that's really interesting news for our family that leads up to episode 8. It's pretty exciting.
Okay. Do you have any idea of who's watching your show? I'm sure you probably do. Are there more men than women? Are you surprised at the demographic breakdown?
Really surprised. I'm surprised that we've had a lot of visitors here at the mill from all over the world. And it's an interesting demographic because we're really popular with like the 7-year-olds.
It's a kids show,
Yeah.
And the kids go, yeah.
Well, you know what? I mean, I can see the kids loving it as much as adults as well. But is there a noticeable division between male and female?
No, I think it's across the board.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 deal. People from, there's ladies come in, wow, I love your show. There's guys, I love your show. And that is the first thing. You're that guy off that show. I love your show. That would be the high.
But there's also, people are vested into the show too, is that they look at Kevin fixing something and they'll come in and maybe they've got some sort of background in engines and they'll come to the mill and they'll be like, oh, what you were that fellow the other day.
Yeah. That sensor, I know it's a sensor, and blah, blah, blah. That sensor, I go into the TV. You check the sensor. And so they go, oh, okay. Which episode was that? Oh, I remember.
Yeah. So this is season 3 now, Big Timber. So you've been around for 2 full seasons. So clearly people are starting to recognize you. They know who you are. Do you get people walking up to you, or they see you across the aisle or across the grocery store and yell timber or something like that?
Yes. Yeah, that's a regular thing.
When you walk across the road, somebody drops by and says, Big Timber!
Yeah, I'll get my name. I'll be walking on the ferry boat going to Vancouver, and then I hear my name behind me, and I turn around and wave, and then it's time for the selfie shots, and so that happens. It's pretty.
I think that it was actually really surprising for us. Didn't know that would happen. Actually, I maybe we're coming into it with our eyes closed or something, but that was a really interesting perspective. And the fact that people come from like Germany, New Zealand, Australia, and just drive in and show up at the office here, just wanting to, see what it is.
Sort of a phenomenon.
It's an entertaining show for a number of reasons. The cinematography is beautiful. I mean, just the landscape and it's beautifully shot.
Oh, the camera crew did an absolute phenomenal job.
Yeah, it's a fascinating industry, and the work that's done is fascinating. And there's great dynamics and between the various characters on the show, and the dialogue is quite humorous at times as well.
Yeah, some things people say, really, it's kind of like, what? Why are they saying that? I'm confused. Where did they think that? Like, why? Anyways, yeah.
Well, listen, I want to thank you very much for taking the time. I will point out again that Big Timber airs on Thursday evenings on History, and this is season 3. Kevin, Sarah, thank you both very much. I wish you all the best in the future.
Thanks a lot for having us.
Thanks, Ted.
My pleasure.
The Ted Wallisham Podcast has been brought to you by Tom's Place. For the finest in men's clothing at unbeatable prices, It's Tom's Place at 190 Baldwin in the heart of Kensington Market. Tom's Place will suit you. And Helenda's, the meat people. Enjoy their award-winning products at selected Metro, Sobeys, Fortino's, and Foodland locations. Helenda's, the way sausage should taste. The Ted Walsham Podcast is produced by Joey Roselli. Technical production by Paul Gatt. Music by Bike Thieves. I'm Becky Coles. Submit your questions and comments to ted@twmedia.ca.